Hello there and welcome to the news. I am Sergio Brito. Coming up, additional doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine arrive in the Gambia. Gambians react to vaccinations, and President Barrow meets nation's imams on Sunday at the State House in Banjul. My guest on News Review today is the U.S. Ambassador to the Gambia, Ambassador Richard Carl Pascal. But first, we'll take a look at the newspapers. The Gambia has at last been categorized by the U.S. among countries said to have achieved the minimum requirements in its annual fiscal transparency report. The country failed to meet the requirements for 2 years, leading the U.S. State Department, which conducts the annual report, to describe it as not fiscally transparent. However, in its 2021 Fiscal Transparency Report, the department found the Gambia among 74 of the 141 governments it reviewed to have met minimum requirements of fiscal transparency. Two governments, Nigeria and the Gambia, met minimum requirements in 2021 after not meeting minimum requirements in the year 2020, the State Department said. Meanwhile, a High Court judge on Friday dismissed a suit brought by Bakari Bunja Dabo and others, which sought the court to direct the IEC to register Gambians living abroad. Bakari Bunja Dabo, Chorno Mjai, Pasamba Jau, Jegan Gray Johnson, and Sidi Mohamed Sane brought a civil suit against the Attorney General and the Independent Electoral Commission to enforce the Supreme Court judgment that went in their favor. The Supreme Court had declared that every Gambian, including those living outside the jurisdiction, are entitled to register for and vote in elections to the offices of the President, members of the National Assembly, for local government offices, and traditional rulers, as well as a referendum. Bibi Dabo and others claimed IEC has not taken steps to register Gambians in the diaspora for the forthcoming national elections, which in their view is a gross disregard to the judgment of the Apex Court. The lawyer for Bibi Dabo and others, Abdullahi Fati, submitted that the High Court has control over public bodies, including the IEC. He argued that the Constitution places an obligation on the High Court to abide by court decisions. NPP blast UK MPs over Barrow TRRC comments. The deputy spokesperson of President Barrow's National People's Party, NPP, has expressed utter disgust at the UK MP's criticism of the Gambian leader's broken promise to step down and call for full implementation of the TRRC recommendations. Last week, at least 7 members of the House of Commons in the UK signed an early day motion, otherwise EDM, welcoming the imminent publication of the Gambia's Fruit Commission's report and demanded it be fully implemented by the government of the Gambia. The MPs, including Jeremy Corbyn, also expressed their regret that President Adama Barrow refused to step down as originally agreed with the coalition that backed him in 2016. In his response shared with the Standard newspaper, Deputy PRO Sidi Njai countered, "I read with utter disgust and disappointment the politically motivated and malicious early day motion supported by 7 MPs in the British House of Commons calculated to attack the Gambian President Adama Barrow." Njai further charged that the UK MP's motion is highly malicious, unfounded, and full of lies. Meanwhile, government reports of Jammeh's visit to the Gambia. The Gambia government has dismissed as totally false a report that former President Yahya Jammeh is in fact returning to the country. A Guinean newspaper reported last Wednesday that Jammeh has been authorized to come and pray at his parents' graves. The paper added it is uncertain how long Jammeh will stay in the country. The paper further reported that the deal was struck under what it called the Malabo Protocol, which it said was negotiated for several months between former President Jammeh and his successor Adama Barrow, adding that the agreement is now beginning to take shape. That's it for the newspapers. Let's go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. welcome back. Gambian President Adama Barrow said on Sunday he met with over 360 imams at State House where he called on them to utilize their status in society to preach peace. The move has also been widely criticized by some Gambians on social media. Here's an excerpt of the meeting.
Wari banko president fonka tamani sartole la ando ka tamani luwal la andi won luwal fanan janni be sabati la fanan naati e mira fanan fo cabinet ya discussion ben dafe kada national assembly oto abukatra president don bloko bari mbe jikri nyinne ko ni nga kubetol men mira ni nga mol so mele be national assembly mele ke mira kontel fanan kam mira nyame ni nga kaydi sifal sambaje isi soneano e saaje ko ndel besina na fa soto akko kon bari ku krimbe o dandar laro dila wayre jama tiolle malti andu mol ka lamoy sauvé dole ketanu jama me baake sauvé nyin kanyin in karo ke mol ke lamoy jumale mol lata jumale imam mol le ketan number 1 mol ke lamoy momel wota munta ko o quartier fayo altel le gagnata altel le président fa gagné o quartier fayo iko altel mol ka altel le lamoy wota na mol ka altel le lamoy sulo be Gambia ko me alon ko mo be nyanta diamula pour mo lié lamoy pour ko keno wolon nyi covid-19 coronavirus kuran me be keri Gambia ko kuran no me alon ko ay dunia be jakalindi dunia bankol me alon ko sembo warta Gambia ay be jakalindi ay na économie be tinya ay na dokol be tardendi al yalon ko wadi soto me alon ko nga jan soron nenu mol bu ko selno jumawol to bidikol soronta diamo siada bata keta ay mol batandi man la fi pour ngata o tembo ko ten ko pour kata ka dulal soron andu aka kenyamente amunta aka mol pus katara wolto woto nata be man la fi pour sorondiro e ki kotenke woto alim be nga kafu nga mol kawandi kurango nyim balanda men nga wolbula wolo nyinti ko nga maskol ke nimbe jama ko dawo da nga maskol nimbe misrol ko nga social distancing nga jam fanyol woto mbela fila imamo be abe yakala responsibility abe akawando ke ala jumolto abe diamu ila jamae mbe nga maskoke andu ngo promise o dile inshallah lakin ni nga kumo fen ka inshallah foje wari ala drone ba timandi nol ite ke la ngan yoro nyitandi ala wore ka timandi woto nga nyingan nel so do ka fako ni nga mbandi banyul la metala sere kundale andu ba dokula in faces andu nali en face gam ko be face de keno lale there is nothing impossible in this world te fimo fenye solution ba la be keno lale until I have a big heart for this country. I want everything for this country. Wala ka hanin tamata wanda da wani banko do mbuka meje. Hanin na masakunda mol melbe katari be alon. Tamo me alon ko mele be je mbuka fital. I send my delegation mbuka ta. Undela ko be mu nyim bankolti. Andu lafta nganyim banko mara. Ngambandi ngasi nyim banko ka continue to contribute to national development. Because lafta nimbo the president yalla nga social activities ke nyim banko kan to continue to help the people. Wala nyinti ko nga foundation osoto me alon ko mbe continue la pour que nyim banko doku in my capacity as former president of the Republic of the Gambia.
And now an additional 151,200 doses of the single-dose Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine arrived in the Gambia on Sunday. Our Mati Senghor was at the airport to witness the arrival, and she now files in this report.
The Gambia yesterday witnessed another vital milestone in fighting against COVID-19, where 151,200 doses of the J&J vaccine arrived at the Banjul International Airport, making it the second consignment of the vaccine under the COVAX facility. The vaccine came through the initiative of the government of the United States of America through the U.S. ambassador to the Gambia government for onwards transmission to the Ministry of Health. This great gesture was graced by religious leaders, government officials, and officials from WHO, UNICEF, and World Bank. Speaking at the event is the U.S. ambassador, His Excellency R. Karl Paschal, who is urging Gambians to take the vaccine and that the vaccine is safe.
We're very delighted to partner with the Gambian government to provide these vaccines. I want to emphasize two very important things. The first is that these vaccines are safe. These vaccines have been administered to over 15 million Americans and many more millions around the world. These vaccines are effective. These vaccines have a greater than 99% effectiveness at becoming seriously ill from COVID-19. So please, I know that this has been an incredible week. I have to applaud Honorable Minister of Health and the team at the Ministry of Health. You mobilized rapidly after the arrival of the first tranche of vaccines. In under a week, you began administering these vaccines. In a matter of days, you were administering vaccines across this country. And we've seen, if I understand the statistics correctly, over 50,000 vaccine doses administered in 1 week. This is a credit to those workers who have worked so hard to prepare for these opportunities and to be prepared at a moment's notice to get out in the communities to help their fellow Gambians to get vaccinated against this horrible pandemic. We're all eagerly anticipating the arrival of the tourism season. I would urge all Gambians to recognize that the Gambia can be a leader in the world in vaccination rates. And if you're a leader in the world in vaccination rates, this will be the safe destination for tourism. And people will want to come and see the Smiling Coast and enjoy the hospitality of the Gambian people and the natural beauty that we find here. So please, do get vaccinated.
Representatives from WHO and UNICEF has this to say.
Today we are here to witness an arrival of another consignment of J&J vaccine. This is clearly a demonstration of the commitment that the United States has towards global and equitable sharing of COVID-19 vaccines. WHO applauds this initiative and wishes to extend its sincere gratitude to the government and people of the United States through Your Excellency, Richard Carl Pascal. On that same note as well, WHO also wishes to extend its gratitude to the government and people of the Gambia through Your Excellency, our Honorable Minister, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, for the commitment the country has shown towards getting all its citizens protected as much as possible with COVID-19, and for its commitment since this pandemic started. Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that since this pandemic started, WHO's message has been very clear. Global solidarity, global solidarity, global solidarity. That is the only way we can combat this common enemy that we are all facing, COVID-19.
This is another historical moment. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say to the government of United States of America and the people of the United States of America for their generosity, for this life-saving vaccination. So the equitable access is very important. Equitable access to safe and effective vaccines for all is the clearest pathway to end this pandemic. And today we have also religious leaders here. So thank you very much for your support. Very important because you have influential voice based on people's trust. So thank you very much. And then the Ministry of Health, thank you very much for your leadership and commitment, and all the health workers who are at the front line, and also all those behind the scenes, including logistics and operation, who are working day and night. So on behalf of UNICEF, I'd like to just say thank you very much for this fight against ending COVID pandemic, because this is very important for the children. Because ending pandemic for children means that going back to normal life.
Dr. Samate said he is hoping to see more people taking the vaccine so as to curb the spread of the virus.
These vaccines that we are receiving today, being the second batch of what we received last week or recently from the United States of America, the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. So, Ambassador, I must tell you that yes, we still have vaccine hesitancy, but it is waning off. People are understanding that these vaccines are going to help save lives. We have seen an unprecedented number of people coming to get vaccinated. Today being the 6th day, 10,239 people got vaccinated just today. This first week, we have had 53,700 plus vaccines administered for this first week. I think that's unprecedented. Yes, but that notwithstanding, our coverage is still not as high as we want it to be. As we speak, the target population that we want to be vaccinated, 5.5% have received some form of vaccination, 4.2% have been fully vaccinated, and it needs to be 100% of the target population. So there's still a lot of work to do. But we want to urge everyone to get vaccinated. As the ambassador has said, the vaccines are safe and they are effective against people getting sick with COVID-19. They are effective against people getting hospitalized with COVID-19. So we urge each and everyone, we hope these coming weeks we'll even see more and more people who will get vaccinated. As mentioned earlier, this goes to demonstrate the strong partnership that has been there between the people, the government and the people of the United States of America, and the government and the people of the Republic of the Gambia. There's no better time to foster that partnership than now, when there is need for global solidarity. But as we say, it is only a good partner who works with you, who comes to your aid when you are in need. That is good partnership, that's good relationship, that's how families are supposed to be.
The vaccines were later handed over to the Minister of Health, Sheikh Ustaz Esa Dabo and Pastor Samson Odiko, also urged people to get vaccinated. For TFN News Review, Mati Senghor.
The latest sit-rep from the Health Ministry shows that Gambia is completely not out of the woods with COVID. Now, thanks to the availability of vaccines, people can get vaccinated at no cost. We set out today to see the turnout at one of the centers in Bakau. More in this report.
The Gambia, like many other countries, continue to deal with the coronavirus pandemic amid a surge in infections and some COVID-related deaths. The latest situational report by the Ministry of Health shows that the country is not completely out of the woods with COVID-19, even though some Gambians continue to show little interest in following the health regulations outlined by WHO or the mandatory wearing of face masks imposed by the Gambian government. The second shipment of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine donated by the American government to the Gambian people has been received by the Ministry of Health over the weekend, and now health facilities across the country are open to people ready to be vaccinated. We visited the Bakau Health Center today to see what the turnout looks like, and here is what some of the health officials at the site had to say.
People are really coming since we started. The turnout is really very good. Many people coming, the Gambians, the non-Gambians, they are all coming, definitely, because we could see it from Monday that we started today. We are registering around 1,600 plus. Yeah, we are doing campaign, inside the community. We have groups and then they are going inside telling people how safe the vaccine is. Really, people are coming out. Process is fine, there's no much because we register you. After registering, we put in the computer. We have two forms, one inside the laptop, the tablet, that have your personal details, your parents' name, your age, your ID card number. Then we have the other one that is for the person using it. That one also have your name, your identity card number, and you also have the stamp of the health facility with the signature and the name of the vaccine.
Now here, when patient comes, the first thing that we will do, we will give them number. When we give them number, from there we will ask them to go and sit down and wait for the registration. When they are registered, from there we will ask them to take the vaccination. Yes. The turnout here somehow, here I can say it, Bakau, most of the time we don't have much turnout. But if you go to other health centers, we have much turnout. But the problem is here, the registration, because we have only few people who are doing the registration, so we don't have much people. But it's okay. It's okay. To me, it's okay because we don't have a lot of people in Harkal Bakau here.
Yusuf Aboyang just had his shot, and this is what he shared with us.
Yeah, it's normal anyway, because I think everyone should take it and then just for your health anyway, you know. No, it was not stressful. It was okay anyway, you know, because they are doing the job according to how it should be. So Alhamdulillah anyway. No, those who doesn't know about the sickness, they are the one who are saying that it's not safe, you know. But if you know about the sickness, the people that he is killing, I think that you should come out and then take the vaccine. It's more safe.
Jara also took this Johnson & Johnson vaccine and urged all Gambians to do the same.
Nata jampur ka nimbo fenkota animboro pour jati kende ala ko ka to ngamo ko corona be kere sembo be waralen sai wala nan nata jam pour jati kende asisoto nyame wala nan nata nga corona fenkota anala boro mba fola mol be na fenko be teatal be na je be fenkota fo ala simbe so jati kende ala kato kuo bebe ala bulu sim fankanta ala so jati kende ala.
For TF News Review, I am Mate Senghor.
Tough Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Tough Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Free. Tough.
Welcome back, viewers. Joining me today on News Review is the U.S. Ambassador to the Gambia, Ambassador Richard Carl Pascal. Welcome to the Fat Network, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Very nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Now, COVID-19 has defied even the most advanced of nations, including your country, the United States. But the coming of a new administration seemed to have yielded some progressive, noticeable changes in the fight against the pandemic. What does this say about political or governmental commitment, if you like, in trying times like these?
I think that what we can take away from this is that this is a shared commitment. It's a shared burden. A pandemic such as COVID-19 does not affect only one country or one city or one village. It in fact affects the world. And it's really mandatory that we all pull together and work together, follow the very best advice of the scientists and medical professionals, do the very best we can out of compassion for others to try to mitigate the effects of this virus. And you have the experts here in the Gambia, the Honorable Minister of Health, our friends at the World Health Organization, the US CDC. We all have pretty much the same recommendations. And now the most important thing, especially with the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus, is getting vaccinated. Vaccines are safe, they're effective, and I want to emphasize that these vaccines are the very same vaccines that are being administered in the United States. We've had 15 million or more Americans vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It's a single-dose vaccine, and it is more than 99% effective at preventing serious illness or other health complications from the virus. And so I really do encourage everyone to follow the advice of the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization and the African Union Centers for Disease Control and get to the vaccination centers and get vaccinated.
One of the biggest challenges in fighting against the coronavirus pandemic is having to deal with the conspiracy theories. But before we get to those theories, give us a background to the whole Johnson & Johnson vaccine and how it came about.
Sure. In May of this year, President Biden delivered a speech wherein he said he wanted to make the United States the arsenal of vaccines for the world, to ensure that there was equity and access to the vaccines. And he committed at that time an initial pledge of 80 million vaccines to be distributed around the world. Within the African Union countries, this is being coordinated with the African Union and deliveries through the Gavi COVAX initiative. And the allocation for the Gambia was 302,400 doses. with last night's delivery of the second tranche of those doses, we have met that commitment. Now, in addition, President Biden committed at the G7 meeting in the UK just a few weeks ago an additional 500 million doses of vaccine to be distributed around the world, again, looking at equity and access to vaccines. And the G7 countries, the other G7 countries, matched that pledge of 500 million doses. So that's 1 billion doses of vaccine that will be made available by the United States and the G7 countries to countries around the world. We don't yet know exactly how many of those doses will come to the Gambia, but we do expect that there will be an allocation in the very near future. I would like to emphasize that there are other partners involved in this. The United States is not doing this alone by any stretch of the imagination. In particular, here in the Gambia, obviously under the very capable leadership of the Minister of Health and the vaccination teams, with the strong partnership of UNICEF in particular and the World Health Organization, as well as funding from the World Bank for various aspects of vaccine delivery and administration. So it really is a big team effort. I also want to emphasize that the Gambian government, in addition, has arranged for the procurement of an additional 266,000 Johnson & Johnson doses. On top of that, the regular COVAX allocation program is also bringing in additional doses of vaccine. The United States government pledged, as you know, $2 billion early this year to support the Gavi COVAX initiative, and an additional $2 billion promised, looking for matching contributions from other donors. So this is a tremendous global effort to defeat COVID-19, which is impacting the entire world.
Right. Now, it is common knowledge that the United States government and other partners, like you mentioned, is supporting the Gambian people in the area of vaccination, specifically the Johnson & Johnson. Now, with a few orders like the Pfizer vaccine, a curious mind might ask, why this one in particular, given the myriad of conspiracy theories surrounding the coronavirus pandemic and, vaccinations thereof?
Quite honestly, I think there's a lot of disinformation out there about all of the vaccines. And unfortunately, too many people are listening to people who have no idea and are not scientific experts. I asked someone the other day, why would you listen to someone on social media who is opining that has no expertise in this field? And they don't have a good answer for that. This is a novel coronavirus. What that means is we've never seen a virus like this, exactly like this before. So our response has had to have been nimble. We've had to learn from things and adjust our approach to this as time went on. The fact of the matter is Johnson & Johnson is safe and effective. As I noted, it is fully authorized for use by the FDA, or Emergency Use Authorization. It's endorsed by the World Health Organization, and the Gambian Medicines Control Agency, in fact, has also endorsed its use. Safely administered to millions and millions of people in the United States and around the world, continues to be administered today in the United States. And so I do encourage people, this is a safe and effective vaccine.
Now, what lessons are there that the Gambia can draw from the U.S. in the crusade against the coronavirus pandemic, given that your country, the United States, was at some point decimated by the virus, both economically and death-wise?
Yeah. Well, I think we all have learned just how important it is to be prepared for pandemics. In fact, the United States is investing significant amounts of development finance to develop on the African continent itself the ability to produce vaccines, not just to address the current COVID-19 outbreak, but to be prepared for future pandemics as well. In addition, for many, many years, the United States has supported the African Union CDC to develop the CDC's capacity to coordinate medical and health activities across the African continent. We will continue to do that. We are very strong supporters of the AU CDC, and that we're very passionate about that. And then finally, President Biden also committed quite a bit of funding to support countries in their response to the COVID pandemic. Over $500 million has been, over $200 million has been spent across sub-Saharan Africa, assisting African countries in that response. And so we will continue to work with our African partners across the African continent to address the specific needs here in Africa, but understanding this is within the context of the global pandemic. So again, the world is working together. We must work together to defeat this. I think one thing that we really have also learned is that in the era of social media, it is really challenging to counter the disinformation that is out there. And that's why it's so important for the news media, such as Fatu Network, to help us get the accurate information out to people and to answer questions. That's one of the most important things we can do.
You know what they say, that every crisis also offers an opportunity. Does the coronavirus pandemic present any such between Banjul and Washington in terms of our cooperations, especially when it comes to capacity building and training in the healthcare sector of this country, even especially at a time when it continues to be grappled by difficulties?
No, and thank you for that question. That's an excellent observation. It certainly has presented tremendous opportunities for us to broaden and strengthen our cooperation and coordination together, extending not just with healthcare and responding to COVID-19, but really more broadly between our two governments and between our two peoples, as well as the private sector, I would like to point out. The private sector plays a tremendous role in responding to crises such as this, and it's important for governments. And one thing we have learned, I should have said this earlier,
right.
One thing we've learned is that we have to enable and empower the private sector to sometimes help us find those solutions and empower them. These vaccines are not being manufactured by government laboratories. They are being manufactured by private pharmaceutical companies that invest in the research and development of the technology to be able to undertake this effort. They did get substantial financing from the United States government to help them defray the cost of developing these vaccines. But with that private sector knowledge and know-how, the wisdom and intelligence of the scientists and medical professionals that have pulled together shared information, we have been able to develop a vaccine that seriously mitigates the risk of serious health complications from this virus. I saw a study today, a news report about a study that said persons who are unvaccinated are 25 times more likely to have serious health effects from COVID-19 than vaccinated persons are. That's really the only statistics you need to know about the importance of getting vaccinated.
Right. Now, most countries, including the Gambia, continue to deal with anti-vaxxers.
Yes.
And the United States, as we know, is
yes.
no exception.
Yes.
What message do you have to share with the Gambian people and the world at large as far as vaccinations are concerned? Because we have to agree, there is still some level of resistance.
Yes. No, thank you. Yes, we share this challenge. We share this struggle. I would just like to make, I think, probably two core points. The first one is the Gambia has an extremely high vaccination rate for just about every other disease that's out there that a vaccine is available for. Measles, mumps, smallpox, you name it. The Gambia has embraced and endorsed the use of vaccines generation after generation. As a global community, we did not get rid of smallpox, we did not get rid of measles, and we did not get rid of mumps, etc., by hoping that we would somehow evolve or the virus would evolve. And polio, I should mention, that came about because of the use of vaccines. Vaccines are tools to help humankind respond to these types of diseases, these viruses that help us defeat them. And so COVID-19 is just the latest example of that. Had it not been for the polio vaccine that came out, polio would still be a serious factor in the world today. But today it's extremely rare because of the fact that the vaccine was developed and implemented around the world. And so I would just encourage people, you really need to look at the facts behind this. So number one, vaccines have helped us eliminate the scourge of disease in so many ways around the world. So this vaccine is no different than those. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is, the statistics are just on the side of why vaccines are safe and effective. Are there sometimes side effects? Yes, of course there are. There are side effects oftentimes from common over-the-counter medications that people will take because the human body, in some ways, people respond in some ways very differently. Yeah. But the incidence of complications from these vaccines is extremely low, and really no higher than any other common vaccine that's out there, and oftentimes common medications. So again, these are very safe. They are very effective vaccines. The facts are out there, and I would really just encourage people to listen to the experts.
Right. And just before I let you go, Mr. Ambassador, one thing I would like to mention is one of the misconceptions that people have is that, okay, this is a vaccine brought to us by the United States, but the one they're using over there is different from the one they are bringing to us. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
No different.
Just to make it clear.
No different. Millions of Americans and millions of others around the world have gotten this very same vaccine. It is safe and effective, and I assure you, this is the same vaccine. There is no difference. So all of the disinformation and the false information, I've seen those same comments posted on social media in response to even our announcements from the embassy. I know in response to the announcements in the news stories on Fatu Network and other news sites, I've seen people post this type of disinformation. It simply is not true. These are safe and effective. And I have to say now, my condolences go out to all of those people in the Gambia who are mourning the loss of loved ones. I just learned this morning of the loss of a relative of a friend of mine, and from COVID-19. The Delta variant is highly infectious, and it apparently manifests symptoms and far more severe symptoms far more rapidly than the other variants have thus far. So again, this is real. COVID-19 really does exist. It exists in the Gambia, despite the occasional comment on social media that it doesn't. And people are getting sick and dying in this country just as they are in my country. And so we have the answer. We have a tool in the vaccines that have been delivered to the Gambia to help people fight this battle and to win it. This country has a very high vaccination rate, as I said, with the onset of tourism season coming up in just a few months. I know the Gambia because it has such a high vaccination rate. It could be the vaccination rate leader, not only in West Africa, but all of Africa and probably around the world. People will take this on and get vaccinated. And just imagine the marketing tool that could be for the tourism industry here to say that this is the most highly vaccinated tourist destination for people to come and enjoy the hospitality and the culture of the Gambia and the Smiling Coast.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Pascal, for coming to the FAT Network.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Viewers, that will be it for News Review today. Do join us tomorrow if you can. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.